So now that we've set up our UCS, here in custom UCS from the previous video, we made our first wall UCS, then floor wall, and the current UCS. Now that we have those UCS, it's time to make slices. So in this section, we're going to use this feature called UCS Slice. We'll also cover the slice manager here on the left, which appeared when we inserted our first point cloud. So without further ado, let's click on UCS Slice. You'll see it immediately asks us to select the plane parallel to the UCS for the slice. So let's imagine that I want to make a slice to isolate this facade. What's the plane parallel to this facade? Well, here it's clearly the YZ plane. So I choose YZ, and now it asks me to specify the first point of the slice. And here, unlike earlier when we used a point on the facade to define the UCS, here the goal is to give some thickness to the facade we want to isolate. So we're going to define that thickness using 2 points. So pick, for example, a first point behind the element you want to isolate. Here, we'll take a point on the flat roof. Next, it asks me to select the second point. And for the same reason, if I pick a point on the facade, the slice will be flush with the facade and may end up cutting through elements like balconies or concrete structures. So instead, pick a point on the sidewalk like here. This way, I'll leave enough room for the elements we want to isolate. So now we have our slice done. And by combining these features with native ones in ZWCAD Pro, like rectangular cropping operations for point clouds, I can isolate the facade by removing the stray elements on the left or the vegetation on the right. And now it asks me if I want to keep the point cloud inside or outside the rectangle. So I choose inside. And as you can see now, my facade is perfectly isolated. Once I've done that, I might also be interested in exporting it. To do that in the Point Cloud Assistant, there's this Export Point Cloud button just right here. You also have it in the Point Cloud Slice Manager, Export Point Cloud Data. So let's make an export now. I'll first define the export path, so let's go into my PCA folder, and here I'll create a new folder named Slice. And here I will name this Point Cloud Export Isolated Facade. Also here in the file type, as you can see, I have choice between PTS and our CS format, which will have some consequences in the saved file. So I'll click on Save. You can see down here, exporting point cloud files. We wait a few seconds, and there it's done. You can read point cloud exported successfully. So now, if I open a new file to attach the point cloud, and I go back to the slice folder here, and choose this format because I exported it as PTS. Here I click OK and I pick a point. And here is my exported facade, and you can see I'm now in the WCS with a perfectly squared isolated facade. This is the result of choosing the PTS format. The current UCS overrides the original WCS during the export. If we had chosen the RCS format instead, it would have preserved the original WCS. You might also have noticed that the scan color mapping has been overridden by the object color, but you can still access the other color mappings, such as elevation or intensity. So keep that in mind if you ever need to export and choose between the two formats, PTS and RCS. Alright, so let's go back here. Now that I've performed the slicing operations in the Point Cloud Assistant using the UCS slice, that we have exported the result, and also shown how the Slice Manager works, we'll move on to this feature in the next video, multiple slices.